Call it the curse of high expectations. Whenever the Boston Globe deploys its spotlight team, the public expects revelations it can't get anywhere else. It's a lofty standard set by the landmark expose on clergy abuse in the Catholic Church. And judging from this week's series on Boston traffic, it's a standard that's not easy to live up to. Adam has more.
Bad traffic has been a harsh reality of life in Boston for decades, and the media covers it all the time.
Cars at a crawl at Terminal C.
Spot news stories on the crisis of the day are a staple.
I want to take you to another crash. This is Revere Beach Parkway.
But lately, we've seen more ambitious looks at why things are so bad and how they could get better.
Solution number one, what's called smarter tolling, charging people more to drive during rush hour.
For the record, that's from a WCVB special last month. Now comes the Boston Globe with a three-part spotlight series titled Seeing Red. The big takeaways: politicians make car travel too easy. Employers don't push workers to take the T. And Amazon, Uber, and Lyft are only making things worse.
More cars keep coming. This is Boston. Everyone is rushing to sit in traffic.
Despite slick design and some nice flourishes, like the UPS truck that got more than 1,500 tickets over 4 years, the Spotlight series treads a lot of familiar ground without delivering many epiphanies. But maybe I'm spoiled by the Spotlight mystique.
They knew, and they let it happen.
Or maybe I'm being defensive, since the Globe fingered car drivers like me as the bad guys. Actually, so did Boston Magazine in its new cover story on 40 ways to fix Boston transit. Compared to the Globe, that package is light on data and reporting. Still, BOMAG gets at one harsh truth the Globe doesn't grapple with. Until public transit gets a lot better, a lot of us will keep on driving, gritting our teeth every minute we're on the road.
Well, in the immortal words of Don Hewitt, this is a subject and not a story. And that's why, I mean, the Globe Spotlight team going after clergy, they had the people, they had the bad guys, they had the good guys, they had the victims. This is tough it's amorphous. As you point out, they had some great moments, like with the UP. I mean, that was outrageous, 1,500 and idling in traffic. But there were some things they kind of skirted around, like the fact that the city of Boston has put in, how many miles of bike lanes, 8 miles or something, and they're shutting down lanes of it's like, okay, it's a trade-off for everything. But it's one of those things that everybody tries to go after, but there's nothing to really peel back.
My sense from the outside is that we are seeing a shift in what the Spotlight team actually is and the way they work. It's still the most prestigious brand inside the Globe, but I think of it as doing what they did in the case of the clergy sex abuse story. Now it seems to be moving towards sort of all-known thought about a topic that we believe is important. That's the tack they took in the piece about, the series about race in Boston, and it's the tack they took here. I prefer, and I'm just one news consumer, I would rather get a shorter, more easily consumed, more tightly focused story that blows my mind than let's give the definitive word about the way this important thing works. That being said, I think there's also value in the Globe saying we're going to go at this topic and go at it hard. The Boston City Council, I believe, is already now looking at creating some sort of incentive for city workers to take the T because the Globe reported that there's nothing like that in place. So there's value to it. I'd just like to read the other one more.
I was going to respectfully disagree, but now that I know that you drive to work, I have to maybe reconsider that respectfully. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I liked it. I like explanatory journalism. That's different from investigative journalism, which you're describing as what you want from the Spotlight team, and that's valid. But I like a good package of explanatory journalism that takes a topic and claims about the topic that perhaps have already appeared elsewhere, but puts it together in an interesting way, adds interesting new statistics. I love the numbers they got about how many new cars there are on the road, how few people have given up their cars for them. And so I think it was worthwhile. Was it a bombshell? No. But don't forget, we're about to enter a sort of a climactic debate on Beacon Hill over what to do about the transportation mess in terms of taxes and funding. Right. Maybe it'll have an impact there. Maybe that was the idea.
I largely agree with you, John. And I thought it was a lot of value, a lot of data. Where I kind of part company is that there's a certain type of traffic activist in Boston
Oh, yeah.
that's very moralizing, and they always reach for the punitive approach. And I thought that the Globe kind of bought into that. And I'll just give you one example. You're almost made to feel like a bad person if you take Uber or Lyft. Well, I take public transportation most of the time. I couldn't do it without Lyft as a backup. And I think that to some extent, there was a lack of acknowledgement that you just can't take public transportation all the time because it's so
Can't do it,
bad.
no.
Instead of punishing people, give them more incentives.
Can't get here, for instance.
Well, I think that was, I think, Adam, you said they skipped around the public transportation piece, and that, of course, is exactly what they did, so that would sort of co-sign what you just said, and that's true. There was some factoids that I appreciated, which was how many of the state legislators had a budget to take public transportation versus their cars, and that was really quite eye-opening. So if nothing else, that was interesting. These are the people who will be making decisions about the transportation and fixes, whatever they may be. So that was important to say. And I agree with you, Adam. That's exactly what I thought when I read it. It very much resonated with me, like the race series. The point of the race series was to demonstrate with people who keep yammering here and yammering here, that's not true, to draw some data and say, here's the data, so stop yammering about it, because now you can yammer about what's really true, not what you think is true. So I thought that was the point of the piece. Here's what is really happening out here. Yeah, you have a sense it's bad. Yeah, you have a sense of everybody's doing this. Here are the facts. Now what are we going to do with it? And I do think, I agree with John on that. That is valuable information. And it's a lot of shoe leather, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's part and parcel
6 months, I think.
Yeah, that's part and
Multiple
parcel of investigative journalism, expository journalism. And I thought it was worthwhile, if nothing more than that.
They also did a good job of showing that the traffic has gotten much worse
Yeah.
just in the last few
I
years.
can tell you. Yeah.
Because,
I
we've
live
all
downtown.
been, we've been
Didn't
complaining
need the Globe
about
to tell me that.
No.
Yeah, but you don't have the data.
Yeah,
so
but
that's all I'm saying.
The
You didn't have
whys
the
are
data.
important. The whys
Yes,
are,
I
yeah.
agree.
You did not have the data.
All right.